Yesterday, we talked about narrative elements, okay, like plot, basically plot elements. We talked about the orientation, which we also call an exposition. We talked about the problems, which we also call conflicts. And we talked about the solution, which we also call a resolution. So today, we're going to look at language elements. And these are elements that you should already be vaguely familiar with, okay? Repeat. Our essential question this week is, how do writers use literary elements to create engaging narratives? Our objectives for this week. 1, I can identify and describe the elements of a narrative. 2, I can write my own narrative about my experiences with virtual and/or hybrid school this past year. As I said yesterday, you are not writing the narrative yet. If you have ideas for your narrative, please write them down, but you are not writing the whole narrative yet, okay? So your directions for today. We are reusing, again, the same article of the week. By now, we should know it by the back of our hands, okay? By the way, that was using figurative language, which is a language element, because don't literally know it like the back of our hand. It's not really like the back of our hand, but I'm using a simile to say, hey, I've seen the back of my hand enough that I should know my own hand when I see it. So when we say, I know it like the back of my hand, it means we are super duper familiar with it, okay? Then you are going to watch this video as many times as necessary. This is the second video from the series I started yesterday, okay?
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
Planning and writing a narrative. Part 2. Language elements. In this video, we are going to learn what language elements authors use to write narratives. Before we start, let's revisit the purpose of a narrative. The purpose of a narrative is to entertain the reader. So, as the writer, we always need to be thinking to ourselves, how can I make my writing entertaining? One way that a writer can do this is by using a combination of adjectives and nouns to form noun groups. For example, the scared people, a towering skyscraper, the colourful fish, sharp coral. Noun groups allow the writer to be more descriptive, and they help the story come to life in the reader's mind. 2 more language elements that good writers use are interesting verbs and adverbs. Take, for example, the sentence, the scared children went through the door. The verb went isn't very descriptive. Instead, how about ran, hurried, or tiptoed? These verbs give the reader more information and they entertain. Here's another example. Watch out, Evie said. What do you notice about the verb said? It doesn't give much detail, does it? What are some more descriptive verbs that could have been used? Shouted, whispered, laughed. Each of these adds a lot more detail to the sentence. We can also consider modifying the meaning of verbs by adding an adverb. How did she laugh? Playfully, cheekily, quietly, rudely. Using descriptive verbs and adverbs is important because they allow the writer to tell a better, more entertaining story. Writers can also use direct speech, which is when characters talk to one another. Direct speech can be used to show the personality of our characters, as well as give clues as to how they're feeling. Good writers also use text connectives to make their writing flow. One type of text connectives are pronouns. Here's an example of writing without pronouns. Read it to yourself. What do you notice? Did you notice that it's very repetitive and that it doesn't flow very well? By using pronouns, we can make this passage of writing flow better. Try reading it again now that pronouns have been added. Another device writers use to make their writing more connected is time connectives. Time connectives signal to the reader when an event took place. Take this passage of text as an example. Huddled together under a tiny blanket, the children fell asleep. They woke up to the deafening sound of a car horn. It sounds a little disjointed and is hard to follow. When did they wake up? It sounds like some time probably passed. So we can use a time connective to clarify how much time passed. Did they wake up soon after? Or the next morning? Or hours later? Time connectives help to orient the reader and pass time in our writing. Time connectives can make days, weeks, even years go by with the stroke of a pen. Good writers use noun groups, descriptive verbs and adverbs, and direct speech to make their writing descriptive and to entertain. They use pronouns and time connectives to make their writing cohesive and flow. In the next video, we will be looking at how to plan and write the orientation of a narrative. Easy Teaching.
Okay, folks, so you're going to rewatch that video as many times as you need to in order to complete this assignment. All right? So what I have here for you is a chart. And in the first column, you see the language element that is described in the video. In the second, I want you to write the definition of that according to the video. In the third column, I want you to give an example of that language element from the video. And then in the last column, I want you to find an example of that language element in the article of the week. And I also want you to highlight it in the text. So we'll do the first one together. The first language element is noun groups. So when I watch that video, and if I have to watch it again, I will watch it again. I am told that it is a combination of an adjective, a description word, and a noun, a person, place, or thing, that allows the writer to be more descriptive. The example, or one example they gave in the video, is a towering skyscraper. So my adjective is towering, meaning it's super tall, describing a noun, the skyscraper. Adjective, noun. So this is a noun group. Then I'm going to scroll through the article of the week and find a noun group in the article of the week. So I go and I scroll through it and I reread the text again, and I come across this one, a low budget movie. So this is a noun group because I have an adjective which describes a noun. So low budget means it doesn't cost a lot of money. It's describing the movie, which is a noun, a person, place, or thing. So I highlight that. I go back up to my chart and I put in a low budget movie. So your job for today is to define, according to the video, interesting verbs and adverbs. Give me an example from the video, and then find an example in the article of the week and put it here. Do the same for direct speech, text connectives, and time connectives. Now, just a hint here, you probably will not find an example of direct speech in the article of the week because of the way that it's written. So don't worry if you cannot find one in the article of the week. Just do all the rest of the things, okay? And we will start talking about planning our own narratives in our next lesson. Please also prepare that you have a CATS on Friday over all of these narrative elements that we have talked about this week. Have a great rest of your day.